There is no indication, however, that it is an act of conscious creation that gives rise to the pre-experimental deity. So all these stories and gods and stuff that they're creating, he's saying he has no reason to believe that it was a conscious decision to make these people the way they were.
Hmm.
So he's saying it's all that implicit understanding.
Sure. And I think that's something that I kind of touched on at the beginning of this episode, was that there's perhaps, and I'm just speculating,
Hmm.
I'm no genius here. If anyone's the genius in the room, it's Evan. But
That's bold.
well, I'm not the one reading the Jordan Peterson book. But my point is that perhaps there is some truth there, that he's talking about people have innately created these stories, right?
Hmm.
And like I said earlier, maybe there was a hunger, maybe there was that
Yeah.
moral meaning that they didn't have an explanation for, that they needed to fill.
Hmm. No, I see it for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the same. You can see it in pop culture.
Mhm.
Jordan Peterson's made connections like Pinocchio,
Yeah.
how that's the son going down to save the father,
Mhm.
which is something that will come up actually in this.
Okay.
I don't think he
Cool.
brings up Pinocchio, but he brings up that more abstract version of the story. Or, he talks about how Harry Potter is so successful
Mhm.
because there's elements of it that are basically like the Bible.
Yeah. Well, let's name some of the most famous movie series.
Hmm.
And I'm not, we're disregarding or ignore Marvel.
Okay.
That Marvel comes from comics, so does DC. They come from comic books, and the comic books were already successful, and the current culture that they're creating in these movies is violently leaning away from the truth of the comics.
Hmm.
And it bothers me, and it bothers a lot of other people, so we're disregarding that because you're riding on the backs of something that was already successful. I'm
He's
talking about,
very passionate about comics and movies.
I am, um which, maybe that's something I end up discussing later. Maybe not in lessons learned, but, who's to say? So, my point is, let's think of some of the most successful kind of series. Lord of the Rings.
Hmm.
Need I say more?
No, I mean, it's a
I mean,
Christian story.
Tolkien
J.R. Tolkien.
says it's a Christian story. The author himself says it is derived from Christianity. He
Yeah.
actually, I think, I'm going to butcher this quote,
Okay.
in the draft, and this isn't, I'm paraphrasing. Let me say that. I'm paraphrasing. In the draft, it was a medieval fantasy story, but in the revision, it truly became a Christian story.
Hmm.
So he didn't realize what he was writing until he revised it and understood and made all these
And
connections.
then he embraced it.
And then he
Okay,
embraced it,
that's cool.
which is such a cool
Yeah.
concept.
I know it's probably more on purpose, but it's the same thing in Narnia.
Narnia. There you go.
Huge.
And that was C.S. Lewis, right?
Yeah.
Yet we know where he stands.
Yeah.
We
Very
know.
Christian.
So, what
I
did
think
you?
people just recognize it though,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
which is why it's such a big deal.
What's another one?
Harry Potter.
Harry. Yep, just like you said, Harry Potter's
He's talking about those.
another one that is rooted in like this kind of Christian idea. And I mean, we can obviously extrapolate all sorts of Christian meanings and morals from all these different movies and series and stuff. But those are the three big ones that come to mind
Hmm.
where the author themselves said, "Nope, this is a Christian-based story."
Well, I don't know if J.K. Rowling said it. Jordan Peterson definitely says it though.
I thought she did.
She might have. I don't know.
I think she did. And I'm going to be bold and say that she did because I've heard it rather often. And I feel like it's kind of hard to make that assumption. I mean, you can do the same thing about like Star Wars. You can fit some Christian narrative in there, but that doesn't mean George Lucas wrote that. But
Oh,
was I right?
yeah.
Yeah,
After the final volume was published, Rowling said she intentionally incorporated Christian themes,
there we go.
particularly the idea that love may hold power over death.
Hmm.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's cool.
isn't that so cool? So yeah, I mean, I know we kind of tangented there.
I think it's important though.
Yeah.
It shows that yearning
Yeah.
for
Absolutely.
for some spiritual
Yes,
something.
that's the point, is like,
Yeah,
look at the most successful stories, right? Lord of the Rings is
crazy. Yeah.
so is Harry Potter, and so's Narnia,
Hmm.
right? And of those three, I think Harry Potter's the biggest.